Hello, welcome to the new weekly reading vlog. I have finished Every Heart Doorway by Shannon McGuire. I mean, it's 170 pages long, so I finished it today as well. So here it is. I rated this a 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And for something that's only 170 pages long, it was really good. I was very hesitant when I first saw this in the library. I was like, whoa, that's shorter than I thought it would be. It's 170 pages long. I thought it was like, normal, usual novel length. That's like twice, pretty much twice the length of this one, but I know that it's not like a series continuing from the same story this whole series, so I'm very excited to read the next book. I wished I had the next book. I really wanted to read that book because we're following characters that we already met here, their story too. So I'm very excited. It was very confusing at first because of all the terms and things and stuff going on. But we're following the main character who's also pretty new to these terms. So she also doesn't know what's going on. But it didn't feel so annoying that everyone is talking about things that you don't understand, because she doesn't understand either. And she doesn't pretend to, and she doesn't magically understand things going on, or she doesn't just go over it in her head and be like, fine, whatever, completely disregards it. And yes, I'm talking about this if I didn't have that stuff of the Hunger Song. But moving on, even though it is short, and well, we didn't really get into the characters that much, I feel like we're going to get more to it as we read the books. Because definitely this is the first book in the whole series. And if you guys don't know what this is, this specific story follows a girl named Nancy. And when I read this, I only read the inside flap. I didn't read the back. And I think the Goodreads page, it only had this one in, but I didn't expect the story to go the way it did in this one. But in this world, adolescents get lost, and they don't like get kidnapped or anything. Like, well, that happens in this world, but for those who gets lost with no explanation, comes back to their homes with no explanations either, what happens is it's like Narnia. They find a door, they go to a different world, and not I don't think, like, there's a lot of different worlds that they go to, and there's not a lot of people who go to the same world. So like each of these characters in this book have gone to different worlds, and when they come back different. And for some of them, they spent years in there, sometimes one, sometimes two, sometimes 10. And for a lot of them, the doors don't open again, and they're pretty much changed for their entire lives. And in this story, we're following Nancy, who came back, and like a month later, her parents sent her to this like sanctuarium owned by Eleanor West, and she also has gone to a different world when she was an adolescent. But the thing for her is that her door is still open, so she goes back to this world sometimes, and a couple of times over the years. Well, for some people, it never opens ever again. So they're changed. They experience all of these things, and so the world is different for them, and they act differently. There's something that's different about them, not just how they see the world, and because they did age in that world and not in the real world, or this world that we live in. They're very different, and they have to acclimate again and relearn how to live, and they get sent to this school or the sanctuarium, and they try to readjust to the world. So that's the whole premise of the series. And this one, we hope, in this particular book, we follow Nancy, and she gets into a mystery pretty much in this novel, and that's pretty much the story. I don't want to say anything else because I went into this book knowing one thing, not really knowing what's going to happen, like the main premise of this book, like the main problem. But I really enjoyed it still, so I didn't want to spoil it for anyone else too. But I think at the back, it will say what it is, like what's going to happen in this book. But anyway, I did borrow the books. Like, I have them on hold, but they were going to be coming for the month of May. So I moved them so that I will be getting them in April. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. And now I'm gonna be reading Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I'm very excited to read this as well, because this has sort of the same premise, sort of ish. It's about Jason, who wakes up and finds himself kidnapped. And then he awakens again. No, he was kidnapped, and then he awakens to find that the whole life that he knew was not his life now. His wife was not his wife, his son was never born. He's not an ordinary college professor, but a genius who has achieved something remarkable. So he doesn't know if which one is real and which one was a dream. So that's this whole thing. I'm very excited. I've heard some sort of mixed reviews about this, but overall I think a lot of people like this. So I'm very excited to read this as well. No, that one's fantasy. I think this one is more sci-fi. So yeah, hopefully this is only like 350 pages, 340 pages. And then I have Red Sister, which I will be reading because the last book comes out next month. So I can definitely read that this month, continue on the next, and get to the third book as well. So I can definitely binge read that, just not like one after the other. I don't know what that accent was. Daughter's Pokemon still not here. It's in Nevada. Hopefully next week I'll get it. I'm very positive that I'll get it next week. I would need to get it next week because next week is the last week of March, right? Is it? What date is it? 17. No, but it's the last full week for March next week. So see you guys tomorrow. Maybe. Bye.
So today is Tuesday, March 19, and I finished Dark Matter. I thought it would take me longer to read it, longer than I actually finished it, because it's a good, length book, 340-ish pages with small font, and this is sci-fi, and with a lot of sci-fi, I tend to get quite confused over the whole premise. It gets too scientific for me, and I get really confused, and I don't enjoy the story as much. I got a little confused here, just a little bit, but that's honestly my fault, because I skimmed over the parts where they're explaining the whole. That's my fault. But I still really, really enjoy this. It didn't feel so convoluted to me. It didn't feel so crazy to me. Even though it is a little confusing, like I get the gist, the idea. It didn't make it like less exciting for me. So I really enjoyed this. I rated it 4 out of 5, 4.5 stars. So yeah. Daughter's Pokemon is still not here. So I will be starting Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is a fantasy book that I'm very excited to read. This is very popular. This third book is coming out mid-April, early April, but yeah, I'm excited to dive into this book. I hope Daughter Smoke and Bone gets here next week. Or no, within this week, because I need to read it for next week. So yeah, I don't know why it's taking so long for it to arrive, but there's that. I'm excited for this. It sounds so badass. This is pretty much about assassin nuns. So, yeah, assassin nuns. So, yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hello, it is the morning of March 24th. It's Sunday. I was going to update yesterday, but it was too noisy at our house because construction, all that. So, I was updating, but then the sounds came back and I was like, no. So I'm on page 280 of Red Sister. That's what I finished yesterday. I haven't read today. So yeah, I haven't read much because I've been sick the past few days. I've been trying to read, and I think also that's why it took me quite a bit to get into the book, because I keep reading too little each time I do, and I was just not present. And I feel like this kind of fantasy book and just the writing style, it needs you to be present. You can't be at two places at one time, and honestly that's my fault. So it was hard for me to get through the first 100 pages, but after that, and probably also because I felt better and I started to actually read more and take in the story better, I was able to read 180 more pages. So there's that. Yeah, so this week it started out good. I mean, I finished Every Heart a Doorway, and then I finished Dark Matter. It was only this one I struggled with, and that was because I wasn't really feeling very good. I would have finished this week if I wasn't, under the weather, but stuff happens. So it's still a pretty good reading week. I finished 2 books. I am more than halfway through a second one, and yeah, it's gonna be a very short reading vlog. So yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out some of my other videos right here, and I will see you on my next one. Bye!